systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of a special playoff slate. We got the three-gamer this week. It's wild card weekend. Going to break down all three games. We'll go position by position so we can help think about roster construction, ownership, what the field's doing. Look at the dry run over on ShipItNation.com with Shiptimizer. But coming off a big Ravens win, bringing my boy Title in first. Title and Hoopster here with me, but we're going to keep these Ravens rolling, aren't we, Title?
Yeah, unfortunately, my bankroll yesterday was not rolling. It was going down the wrong way. So
rolling downhill.
Yeah, rolling downhill is right. So I'm definitely excited to get this one back today. And yeah, I need a lot more $500. Hopefully, I'll win the 500. Now we're even, but need a lot more of those to get back today. But hey, can my Packers get it done is the question. We'll see. But hey, good three-game slates. Excited for this one.
Yeah, speaking of done, team well done. We're back. Don't worry. The food takes will be at the end. We won't leave you hanging. We won't start with them. Hoop, what's going on, man? How was your day yesterday? And then what's up for this slate today? What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, same as the Title, a little less cheese in the old bank account after yesterday. I never really thought it would be the Texans defense. That was like one of my most confident takes of the day yesterday was like, I want no Texans defense. I think I got – it was very low number, potentially faded them. I don't even know if I had like any, and like you obviously needed them to win anything yesterday. And, defense is always going to be a high variance, fluky situation. I mean, the Chargers, the numbers were crazy because they kept flashing them during the game, like the Justin Herbert turnover stuff, like one in the last 250 passes. And then yesterday, was it 3 or 4? And one was fluky, a little tip. I guess maybe 2 of them through the hands of McConkey. One was a tip thing, but that's defense for you. I mean, it's one play, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on the quarterback in terms of the interceptions, and it breaks the slate. And that's the beauty of what we do. We bounce back the next day and get a second crack at it. But you needed the Texans D. It is crazy to say, and it's unfortunate if you did not have them. If you played 150, if you weren't overweight on them, you probably lost. You needed a lot of Texans defense, and it's the nature of what we do. But again, we get to bounce back, try today, and $1 million up top. So a little more incentive to get it all right. But I mean, we talked about the Texans a little bit, and it wasn't looking good for the first half. And again, maybe a couple fluky things, but they had nothing to play for that second half of the second, last 2-3 games, really nothing to play for, and absolutely turned it on and shut down the Chargers. I mean, Chargers couldn't do anything whatsoever. So definitely congratulations to the Texans and the Texans fans out there, because got the job done in a big way, and now they advance and likely get a matchup with the Chiefs next week.
Yeah, the other thing too, did you see the winner of the 500K outright, by the way? No dupe. It was a Russell Wilson lineup.
Yeah.
And remember we talked about that, and I was like, oh, man, I'm getting talked off it. I wouldn't have got to that one, but it was Wilson, Pickens, Van Jefferson, and Fryer.
Darnell Washington.
Or that's
Darnell Washington.
Because I got everything. I had the same. I had Texas. Like I was going into the last game with the same stuff. My late swap definitely was never going to late swap into that 4v4 whatever, but crazy stuff.
Good for them getting the job done and going up top. But yeah, we got another slate here, so we'll break it all down. Some really good games on this one. And curious in the chat, maybe throw it up what you got for us. What 3 teams win today? We'll start with that. And Hoop, I'll stay with you. Just quick, it's a grand scheme overview because we're going to talk DFS, but who do you got winning these 3 games today? I think there's going to be an upset out there.
Yeah, definitely the Bills. I mean, I think that we'll talk about that game. I mean, it's cool what the Broncos have been able to accomplish this season. I mean, Bo Nix looks like the real deal, but heading to Buffalo in January, first round of the playoffs, it's got to be one of the worst spots for them. So I think the Bills roll. Unfortunately for Title, I do think the Eagles get the job done, and it's not necessarily because of Hurts and Barkley and stuff like that. I just think the defense and what I've seen out of the Packers lately has not been very good. And then the upset for me is definitely going to be the Commanders. I think the Commanders beat the Bucks tonight. So that's one spot I'll be looking to take advantage of. I think there's some really good DFS plays on the Commanders side when we get to that game. So I'm going Bills, I'm going Eagles, and I'm going Commanders today.
Jake the Take in here with the Bucks Ravens Super Bowl. Our guy Kenny, he had the same picks as you. So he's got the Washington upset title. What say you? What do you got on these 3 games here? Is it similar to this, or are you going against it?
No, Washington, Buffalo, and man, I don't know. I think the spread's a little too wide. I'm not gonna say Packers necessarily. The line's moving in the wrong way, but I do think Packers cover first half, and I think it's a game. But the problem is you just got to take away Saquon early. 3rd and shorts, you can't let the Eagles get to. But I think Packers give them a great game. But I do think Washington, Bills, when it's all said and done, I'm going to say Packers.
Yeah, I got the opposite on you guys and Kenny there. I got the Bucks winning that game. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I'm excited for that one to end the slate. And then I got Eagles for sure. I've been on that one. And funny enough, I have the Bills, like I told you guys yesterday in the Super Bowl. But if there was an upset today, I think it actually would be Denver. I think Denver, this Bo Nix guy, man, a little bit special. They've been finding their groove there, doing their thing. And we know Josh Allen is just prone to have that game. It's like when me watching Lamar last night. I was getting nervous in that second half, even though I shouldn't be. It's when that happens, I'm always like, oh, these guys are going to let off the gas now. If Allen makes mistakes early and has almost like a Herbert-esque situation, that would be bad. I don't see it, but if it did, that would be where I see the actual upset being. I wonder if anybody else is in on the Broncos there. But let's get it started here. Hoop, just from a DFS perspective, how do you sort of see this thing playing out? 3 games, staggered slate, where you think people are setting up for it, and then we'll get to position by position in the dry run after you and Title give us your overview on DFS side of things.
Well, the one thing that stands out to me on the slate, I mean, you have quarterbacks that you're going to want to play for sure. We have running quarterbacks in every game. You have Josh Allen, you have Hurts, and you have Jaden Daniels, and I think that's where a majority of the ownership probably goes at that position. Then people are liking what they've seen out of Baker lately. So you got those 4. I think like Bo Nix, Jordan Love are kind of the forgotten quarterbacks. And like if I was going to play one of those 2, it'd definitely be Bo Nix. I agree with our guy Kenny. Like I just don't know if Jordan Love is all that good. Like I just honestly don't believe it. I haven't seen it. Like it just. A lot of his success has come with these like desperation bombs to like Christian Watson and stuff like that. I just don't know if Love is very good. So he's my least favorite, and I would probably go Bo Nix over him if deciding on a 5th. The running back position, pretty tough for a 3-game slate. I mean, the Denver situation's up in the air. I mean, they could use any of 3 guys. The Bills, I have not interesting take, but I think a different take on the Bills stuff. I think a lot of people think it's still going to be kind of split up and chopped up. I think they just go, James Cook, heavy dose. We've seen it in the previous years in the playoffs, and he's one that's coming a little overlooked on this 3-game slate. So I personally like Cook, but I could see why there's some hesitancy there. The Packers, the entire Packers team is coming is going a little overlooked today. People don't want to be on them, and I think it's obviously for the right reason. I just kind of shit on their quarterback. And Jacobs is kind of expensive. Saquon is a clear play. Bucky Irving is a clear play. And then you go to Washington, you have 2 guys, Brian Robinson and Eckler in play. So running backs kind of, I don't know, not super clear cut. Wide receiver, we had some studs yesterday. Well, kind of lacking that on this slate. Yes, we have Mike Evans. He's the clear guy. AJ Brown, he's got a knee situation. That's not super clear. The Bills pass catchers, it could be any of 5 guys. You have Cortland Sutton, but it's a tough situation there. And then, the story with Terry McLaurin, it's like boom or bust. So wide receivers kind of up in there. And then tight ends, not as clear as it was yesterday. On a 2-game slate, there's a ton of guys who wanted to play. Today, I definitely don't think it's as clear. So it's a lot of question marks, but I think it's good for DFS, to be honest with you. I think it's very good for DFS. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go, a lot of fringe plays, a lot of uncomfortable plays that you're going to have to play because it's a 3-game slate. So really, really like this slate. And I guess that's my grand scheme overview, is a lot of question marks and a lot of questionable fringe type plays.
The GSO, we're branding it now. What other show has the grand scheme overview? We got that. That one's trademark. Title, I'll kick it over to you for your GSO. What do you see? Anything the same with Hoop, different, other stuff that you're seeing just from an overview? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, a lot of the same with Hoop. I mean, no one wants to play the Packers. No one wants to play Denver. The Bills situation, people will play some, but they're playing the passing game. Like no one's, not nobody, but James Cook is a clear leverage spot on the slate, just like Mike Evans looks to be a clear leverage play on the slate. One guy we have projected over 50% own, it's Bucky Irving, rightfully so, has absolutely taken over the running back room. Hard to see them going White, Sean Tucker, any of that BS anymore, but Evans, James Cook, clear leverage spots. Quarterback ownership will be spread out. Like this extra game added compared to a 2-game slate. And even yesterday, like Lamar came in 37%. All those guys got some ownership. What I always struggle with is these freaking defenses, though. So when we get there, like, do I X any out anymore? I don't know what to do there. And the stuff, I agree with Hoop. I do think, I like the Packers to keep in the game a little bit, but it still is really hard to click Jordan Love's name because not only do you have to get him right, who is he throwing it to? Obviously a little less target share without Watson, but they still got Melton, they got Crafts of the world, the Wicks of the world. They want to pound the football, I imagine, to keep Hurts off the field. So I do agree. While I do think the Packers play it pretty close, Love is the lowest owned. We saw Russ get there yesterday. It's still hard to click that name for DFS.
Yeah, the review stuff is not for everybody, but everyone always asks me, oh, why do you like reviewing slates? Do you guys remember? This is where it sparks your memory on this stuff. It was a Packers-Bucks winning Millie Maker lineup that had Jordan Love at the quarterback naked with $4.
No.
Remember? And they're like, why didn't you just play Baker? But it's no clue what you're doing with Love. Just, play him. And if he throws and beats Baker and whoever he throws to, you may not need them as you pick them off. And you put a bunch of bucks in there. That could be a thing today. But I like a little JDOZ combo pack that you get over there on the Commander's side of things. And then you could play Bucky and get the other guys in there. They talked about Cook in the chat, all that stuff. So I think it's a really good slate for DFS. And remember, with 3-game staggered slate, it's kind of what are you doing overall and then work backwards, because after the first game, you got to start making adjustments. There's 2 more games that you have time in between to look at late swaps and things that you can set yourself up for success later on. So I think that's a key combination there. Hoop, I'll pull up Shiptimizer with the dry run, but do you want to start at quarterback while I get this rolling here? I've got it up on my side, but just what you're seeing and what you want to roll with there.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, Josh Allen, people are going to love to go there. I mean, it's a phenomenal spot. We saw it a little bit. The one thing that people don't overlook but might forget about a little bit in the playoffs, it's like so different. Look at how Lamar Jackson's game kind of transcended yesterday a little bit, where he's just willing to take off more so than in the regular season. Obviously, he runs a ton in the regular season too, but more design plays for him to run, more just I'm going to go get it myself type thing. Josh Allen's that same dude. So Josh Allen, I think we can anticipate some more running. If they're at the 3-yard line, 3rd and goal or something, like a design run for him is just more likely favored to score. Title probably has the exact number, but I think it's like minus 130, somewhere between minus 120 and 130. That's a big boy number for a quarterback. So clearly the guy on the slate, no clear pass catcher, which is kind of nice for DFS because there's a bunch of different ways to go about stacking him. 2 games versus 3 today, I think, adds even more options and will lower ownership kind of on everyone. I will say it is probably easier to play Josh Allen today than it was to play Lamar yesterday. There's even more cheap options. There's less security at the running back position. So I do think the ownership is relatively high. We're showing 23. I imagine it's probably closer to 30 at the end of the day. But yeah, probably closer to what we actually got there, 29%. So I do think he gets there, the highest on quarterback for sure. And if people are sizing him up versus the other running quarterbacks, like versus Jalen Hurts versus Jaden Daniels, you're just going to feel so much better with Josh Allen. So I do think he gets up there, but definitely want a lot of him. Bo Nix, I don't know. I haven't figured out what I'm doing there yet. And then the same with Jordan Love. I'd love to just look at this slate and say it's either Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, or Baker. And I kind of feel good that it's probably one of those 4 that's the highest scoring quarterback on the slate. So I might just say no to Nix and no to Jordan Love, and they are the lowest owned guys. But if you just take them out of your player pool, you are gaining leverage because they're all going to get a little bit of ownership today. So, touched on Hurts, probably my least favorite out of those four guys, like Allen, Hurts, Daniels, and Baker. Had the concussion stuff. I don't think there's any concern there at all in terms of the injury, the concussion, but they have other ways to win this game, and it could just be like, all right, let's just give it to Saquon, get the win, and get the hell out of here type thing. So I like Hurts. I'm going to play him. Probably my least favorite out of the four main guys. And then that last game, nice total. I mean, over 50 between Daniels and the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs have been playing good football, but they're giving up points. And I think this could be a game where the Commanders find a lot of offensive success, pick the Commanders to win this game. This has shootout potentially written all over it. The Commanders now with Austin Eckler fully healthy, the emergence of Zacchaeus, which I'm going to steal a little bit of Title's thunder here with the prop stuff. I was looking at Zacchaeus has a legitimate prop today compared to some of these other pass catchers. Like his prop is right in line with all those Packers guys pretty much. He's in the 40 range. Jaden Reed, Dobbs, Wicks are all in the 40 range. Zacchaeus is looking like a strong option today. 4,400. You have another cheap dude in Diami Brown. So when you stack up Daniels, a lot of different ways to go. You can stack them with Eckler. You can stack them with these pass catchers. The emergence down the stretch of Zach Ertz. So a lot of ways to play Daniels. And then you go to Baker, I think is a good option too. You can play him with Bucky. You got Mike Evans. You got McMillan. He's getting Cade Otton back today, which I think is good. Cade Otton, we'll talk about tight end. I think another strong option. So really going to be focusing on the main four: Allen, Hurts, Daniels, Baker Mayfield. But I will say I think Hurts out of those four is my least favorite. I just find it hard to say that it's going to be Bo Nix or Jordan Love that you need on this slate. So I'll just be focusing most likely on those main four.
What about you, Title? I don't think I'm going to nix out Bo on this slate personally, because I think he's the opposite side of Josh Allen for much cheaper. If Josh Allen gets pushed, it's because Bo Nix probably got some stuff going, whether it's with his legs on the ground, passing through his guys. I know he's harder to stack up, but you just have to sort of take your stand with the guys you're comfortable with there. It's just really, it's almost like Jordan Love-esque where it's tough to get it right. But I think Bo Nix is interesting on the opposite side. I also wonder what's the deal with Jair Alexander's been out for a while, right? He's still going to be out anyway too. Yeah. So I wonder too if that Jalen Hurts spot, because it's pretty cheap to stack up that side with just Brown, Devonta Smith, Goddard, and just pick a couple of them and go that way, especially if you're not playing Barkley. But how are you treating the quarterback position, Title? What's your thoughts?
I am definitely playing some Bo Nix. His rushing prop, I mean, he's used his legs a good amount. 29.5 is really solid. So I'm attacking it where I want the rushing quarterbacks for the most part, which then leaves off Jordan Love and it leaves off some Baker. Not that Baker can't rush, 18.5 rushing prop, but compared to Daniels, Josh Allen, and Hurts is my least favorite of the big four too, because I'm riding like it's a Saquon game. I think they feed Saquon early and often. 105.5 rushing prop for Saquon's insane. Now Hurts can always get there. If they fall at the one, the tush push, there's no doubt he can get there that way. But I'm going to hope he doesn't fall at the one. And if not, I'm banking on it more of a Saquon game, whereas Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix's rushing prop solid, and you get a lot less less of a price tag. So that's how I'm going to be riding it. My favorite is Josh Allen. I mean, man, minus 130 to score. I do think he runs the ball more than he did in the regular season, and 3rd and 3, stuff like that, more design runs. Great implied total. Jaden Daniels. If I think they win, I think it's going to have to do a lot with Jaden Daniels, his legs, and it's easy to stack them with cheap options. The Zacchaeus of the world, the Zach Ertz of the world. Not many want to spend up for a Terry McLaurin. So I do like a lot of routes there. Baker will be one of my lowest owned, at least to the field. Like Mike Evans. I will say FanDuel, Mike Evans will definitely be more popular. Solid price tag at 8.4K. DK won't be nearly as owned. I'm going to play a lot of Bucky, though, when we get to running back. He is very chalky. That's something that I'm just going to go with. And when I do play Baker stuff, I think I want to double it. McMillan might even be more popular than Mike Evans. But again, I want rushing. I think one of these guys that will break the slate, put up 28 plus, is going to probably get a rushing touchdown, maybe 2. And we have clear guys: Daniels, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and then Bo Nix has been using it more. That's the main ones I'm focusing on. I think I'm going to X out Love. Yeah, I just did it. I'm Xing out Love. I'm not playing 150 teams. I got 50 right now. Again, not only do you have to, he has to have a great game. You have to get you have to get his pairing right, which is a lot harder. But Denver's defense won't allow Buffalo much.
Any thoughts on that? Yeah, that's why I brought it up. The chat was up. Well, we're going to get the defense later, but I mean, obviously that's going to affect if you think the Denver D can keep Josh Allen in check at all. Like I think Josh Allen, to Hoop's point, we've got our initial ownership projection at 23. This will be just like yesterday because Hoop literally called the same thing. He said Herbert's ownership is going to come up higher than what we see it here. It does. Then what happens? The defense against Herbert ends up being strong leverage. Defense is random, but I'm saying it still has some effect from that perspective on these short slates. It's like if you're not playing this, you could also play D against quarterback. But Title, I don't know if you had anything to add there or
I'm with Sean. Just like in basketball, better O beats better D. Like I'm not really worried about a defense. Yeah, maybe like early.
I guess I'm kind of confused by that question. Are they saying that Denver's defense is going to shut down Josh Allen? Is that the implication, or that Denver's D can be viable for fantasy today?
I think it's saying we're talking about quarterback. I think he's relating it fully to.
Yeah, he's definitely saying that they're going to shut him down. Amari Cooper hasn't even been their number one. Like I'm not worried.
Well, that's fine, but I mean, like we're not scared that Denver D is going to stop Josh Allen and the Buffalo offense. Like, no.
They're implied for the most points on the slate at like 27.5. So
that's a crazy statement. I mean, honestly, like, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good D.
It's a good D at home against the fucking Chiefs who rest all their guys. Yeah, for sure. It's an elite defense. They're going to go off. But we're talking on the road in Buffalo against the Josh Allen. They've scored endless real-life points the last few weeks. Like no.
Someone said earlier we're going to knock the dust off Amari Cooper. Yeah, like where's he been at? So talking about
I don't know, man. I got to we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, I'll just say like, pretty much in line with you guys, but I'm definitely have a little more interest in some of the stuff with, Jalen Hurts leveraging the Barkley stuff, Baker for sure, Stacks, and then interested in Bo Nix. So I'll probably keep my Allen ownership in check. I'll actually probably come in underweight, especially if Allen gets up to like 30. I'll be closer to that 20 or under, or sort of 15 to 20 in there, just so I can spread it to those other guys. But I definitely like that last game the most. It's not just the total. It's more of how I like the weapons, the options. I talked earlier about my guy OZ. You guys brought up the props on it too. I like that call. So I'm going to be playing him with Baker Stacks opposite side and with Jaden Daniels stacking it up that way. So I think there's a lot of ways you can set it up, but I'm going to start my lineup setting them up that way. So I'm going to be counting on these running backs and some of these one-off receiver plays when we get there early on. But Hoop, I'll go to you. Running back, or I see an Eagles. Landis in here.
I hope so. I hope our guy Landis right, because it seems every time I have success, big time success, when I won the Millie, when I hit six figures, it's usually Eagles defense. I will take that today. I'll definitely take that today.
It definitely could be an Eagles D-Day. We talked earlier, and we obviously didn't spend a lot more time on Jordan Love. That could be the one where we talk about Denver versus Buffalo. Well, Philly versus Love could just be a smash spot. We'll get to defense at the end. Hoop, I'll go to you. Bucky Irving, getting all the ownership. Great spot again. We've seen it. We know what it's going to be. But what are you doing with him? And then the other guys here at the running back position. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, so, I mean, you look at this position and what are people going to want to do? They're going to want to play Bucky Irving, rightfully so. Too cheap for sure on DK at 7K. The workload is, massive. I mean, it's full workload for him. And then Rachaad White is just getting the scraps, and Sean Tucker will come in, maybe for a little bit, but it's clearly Bucky Irving. The props on Bucky are second to only Saquon on the slate. Bucky's going to be massively owned. Saquon Barkley should get a lot of ownership as well. And rightfully so. Again, it could just be with the Eagles that they want to pound him, and they can, and he's a stud, and it's a great spot for those two. But what that means is probably everyone else at the position going to go a little lower owned and overlooked, I think, than even the projections indicate. The Broncos situation is very difficult to figure out. I mean, maybe one of you guys have a better read on it than I do, but I don't know. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's the main guy. Like, I'm definitely struggling there. So if I don't get any of those three, I'm fine. With Buffalo, though, I like James Cook quite a bit today, and I'm hoping the ownership stays in check. And especially like if you're taking the approach like Tambo's taking, I love the move of going overweight on a James Cook. We've seen these games, and this could be one of those games. They're favored by 9-10 points at home. We've seen games where they give James Cook a heavy workload and he gets the job done. I think it could be one of those days. And again, especially if you're right around the field or underweight on a guy like Josh Allen, I think James Cook should be featured in what you do today. And you have other outs though too, because he's caught passes too. So even if you are going heavy Josh Allen, like there's been games where he's been very involved in the passing attack as well. So James Cook, I really, really like on the slate. I think he goes overlooked, and I think that's a bad move for most people. So I'm in on Cook. Oh, the Packers stuff with Josh Jacobs, it's like a big boy price tag. He's coming in at 7.7. I do think that keeps the ownership relatively low. It's got the third best props on the slate behind Saquon, behind Bucky. If you're building teams, you probably have to force them in. Yeah, all right, you got the dry run up, and it's all Bucky, it's all Saquon, and that's what's going to happen. So Jacobs, everyone's kind of showing around 30%. I wouldn't be surprised if that number's just even a little bit lower. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 20. So I don't know. I gotta see. I mean, he does, like, if nothing's working offensively, they could give it to him a ton. He can catch passes as well. I don't know. I got to think about that one a little bit more. And then with the Commanders, like, man, Brian Robinson has just done nothing, like absolutely done nothing, and could continue to do nothing. And they got Eckler there back. Eckler, 4,800, good price tag. I do like him as a play, but Brian Robinson is another one. There's a lot of question marks at this position. We know, and that's probably why the ownership is going to come in so massively on Bucky and Saquon, because everyone else has a big question mark. But after those two, for me, my third favorite clearly is James Cook, and then probably Eckler. But guys like Brian Robinson, big question mark. Don't know what I want to do there yet. Josh Jacobs, big boy price tag. I think it's a really bad spot for the Packers. Don't know what I want to do there yet, but I feel very good, obviously, with Bucky and Saquon, and really like James Cook and Eckler. And I don't know, after that, I'd be open to fading the rest or getting a little bit, but those four are the four clear guys there.
Yeah, you talked about earlier in the show, and before I go to title, just to show it wide receiver. Like, this is a product of this as well. It's just so easy to afford it. Even when you're stacking those guys up, you're picking your stand here, but you're able to get the going back here for a second to quarterback, 68, 82, 75. These aren't insane prices. Those are, like, realistically, that's super fair for Josh Allen on just a 3-game slate for what he was getting up to those prices on, and higher actually on 13-game slates to close out the season. So on a 3-gamer, they're not really adjusting for that. It's almost the PGA DFS effect, where they weren't adjusting for Scotty Scheffler. They just cap his price. We're getting that here now. And realistically, these wide receivers you talked about earlier, there's no one that anybody wants crazy, so they can just spend it here. But title, before I go, like, what is the prop on Josh Jacobs today to score a touchdown?
Josh Jacobs to score is -105.
Yeah. And like, you could see it here. These guys like Wicks and Dobbs and them, they're just flailing around on these Jordan Love throws out there. And PI, Josh Jacobs to the 1, bang, touchdown early, opposite side Saquon. The price is right there at 7,700. I think it's an interesting slate for that. I think running back could be what we see set this slate apart. I know, we just talked quarterback in depth, a bunch of them. Wide receivers, pick your stands that kind of go with those together. Tight end will be interesting, but realistically, hoops question mark on Brian Robinson could be the exact same thing. I would expect to see Eckler and people like him because he's cheaper, but you could see Brian Robinson get those touchdowns or something. So, and then certainly, let James Cook. That's going to be an option today for my portfolio and just in general. It feels like some people will get there just because the product of the slate, but I'll kick it over to you now, Title. We know Bucky, we know Saquon. Your thoughts there, and then what about the rest?
Yeah, ownership will be spread out enough at like receivers, quarterback, tight end. It's a 3. That extra game does a lot compared to 2-game. Again, it's still, I guess, a little closer to a showdown than a 12-game main slate, but I'm not going to get too cute. Like, I'm jamming as much Bucky as I can. I'm jamming a ton of Saquon. After that, my favorite is Eckler. Brian Robinson has looked awful. There's no doubt about that. As 3-point dogs, again, I do think this game's close, but Eckler just gives them so many more options, especially out of the backfield and pass catching. And then I'm going to ride with McLaughlin. He's had double-digit touches in the past 4 games. The price tag's really cheap. So at like 3 running back builds, you can easily get a Saquon, a Bucky, a McLaughlin, etc. As 8.5-point dogs, I do think he is their best pass catcher. The price does a lot. Like if he gets 10, 11, I think I'm good with that on this slate at 4,900. So I rank it for sure. It's Bucky, Saquon, and then I give the 2 cheapies, Eckler at 4,800, Jaleel at 4,900. I don't know. Brian Robinson's interesting because he falls like in that no man's land. And if I think Washington wins, which that's what I'm picking right now, if they do get ahead early, it leverages some of the Jaden Daniels stuff. Eckler's going to be higher owned, so it leverages some of that stuff. Why can't Brian? Yeah, opposite Bucky. Like it does so much in a game theory wise. Why can't he fall in the box twice? Like 3 times might be a little out there, but so that's something I'm really interested in. And again, I want my lineup to paint a picture when I am playing a Brian Robinson there, but he is one I'm intrigued on. I know I talked a good amount about James Cook earlier. Josh Jacobs kind of falls in that boat, but man, they gotta, like, I love Saquon. I love Bucky. They really, really have to do something there. So at the end of the day, I might be underweight. I will be underweight. Josh Jacobs, the Eagles defense, if you're looking at the stone, if you've watched anything all year, like that is what the Eagles do. They take away the run. Now, on the flip side, if you want to make a case for Jacobs, minus 105 to score, 69.5 rushing prop. Almost no team runs the football more than the Packers, so they are going to try and establish it for sure. I'm going to be more so when we get these Packers receivers, the Tucker Crafts of the world. I'm going to play more Packers passing game with Saquon mainly as my running back, but I'm going to jam Saquon and Bucky as much as you can. I will say there's going to be a good amount of 2 tight end builds like there always is because of what it gets you for pricing and jamming in studs. 3 running backs is interesting, especially when I think Brian Robinson, Eckler, Jaleel, all for cheap. They can get you 18, 19, which I feel they have higher ceilings than these tight ends. So that's how I'm seeing it. Jam the 2 chalky guys, enough ways to get different, then I'm going to play some of those cheapies.
I got 3 quick things. One is the definitely going to have some Robinson Bucky lineups set up for the end of the day, however it gets there, because I think that could be a game where we expect it to be all passing game, and I love the passing game, but I think what you said is key, especially if we think Washington takes it. And I've got the Bucks winning, but I could definitely see the back and forth, and it's all just DFS versus betting. I'll save that one. The McLaughlin call I love because I'll say this: the only problem is Peyton and running those 3 running backs. Like Hoop said, it's a guessing game, but man, McLaughlin looks so good with the ball when he has it. Why won't they just continue to give it to him? Like it feels to me like they should just pick a guy and maybe him, because I know you got Javonte and you got Estime, but Estime is the use them in the future. Javonte, I think, is the old dog now. Let's let McLaughlin just have this thing and see what he does with it. So I like that call, and I like the 3 running back call. But Hoop, I'm going to put what is this, a 3-game betting streak on the line? I'm going for number 4, and it's a prop bet. It is that minus 105 Jacobs touchdown. Jacob, that's all you got to do. Maybe he doesn't get there in DFS at almost $8,000 and tough matchup and the 70 yards. I don't want to mess with that, but he is scoring a touchdown. So I'm going with Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown. I don't even know why, but I'm just saying it. I'm going with it today. I'm feeling it.
Interesting, man. I just took Jacobs out of my player pool, so now I'm a little conflicted. Maybe I'll just bet it. Maybe I'll just join you on the bet.
Bet the anytime touchdown. I'm feeling it. I'm putting the streak on the line. That's going to be the one. He's getting
it. Just like this. Just because I think the Packers will play it close and can win does not – DFS and all that is way different. I'm wearing all this Packer stuff. If I win all the money and the Packers lose, I will be very happy. Like I don't really care about that. So the Packers are really tough in DFS. We play a salary-based game. Josh Jacobs is competing. He can get you a touchdown, like Tambo said, and not be anywhere near the winner today.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't. It should be illegal. All right, this tilts me so hard. This NFL coaching shit as the NFL playoffs are going on. They should be nothing until the Super Bowl is over.
Ben Johnson, you're getting annoyed.
I don't give a fuck about Vrabel going to the Patriots. Like I could not care less. And now I'm talking it into our show, but like all this head coaching stuff shouldn't be allowed until after the Super Bowl. And then obviously I'm tilted because the Lions are going to lose Ben Johnson. Like Aaron Glenn, I'm not worried about, but the Ben Johnson stuff is super annoying and looks like he's going to the Raiders. But like none of this shit should even be allowed to be discussed until after the Super Bowl. We got playoff football going on. Playoff football. Talking playoffs, boys. playoffs, not practice.
Jeez, you stole my. I guess I can't do this. Then I was going to do my good PGA segue to remind people that PGA is going on and it's absolutely crushing. So I do find ways to work it into the show. Shout out to, by the way, the King of the Desert this weekend, which is the NFL version, starts today, but the PGA one started, and we got like 5, 6, 7 members or something like that are all sitting pretty right now going into Sunday. Let's hope that it closes well, but love to see that. And that's the thing. When NFL slows down, we still got PGA. So, you can move everything over to that. The promos are up. Talk more about those later. But yeah, we're mixing in head coaching, PGA. Now we'll get it back on track. Let's go to wide receiver. Hoop, I'll kick it back to you, man. What are we doing here at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what makes this slate so good is it's pretty wide open. A lot of different options, and I always think the best way to go about doing it is how we've been and just going team by team and talking through their pass catchers and seeing what we can find for roster construction, correlation, that sort of thing. So, it wasn't like yesterday where there's just those two clear guys and they both went off, Nico Collins and Ladd McConkey. Both kind of to win off, and they were the ones that were the highest owned and all that stuff. So I mean, today it's not like that. On the Denver side, I think they have two legitimate options, and I'm maybe I can add a third in there with our guy Lil Jordan, but
he's like 7.
He's not even close to 30. Someone put in the chat. He's plus what is it? Plus 13-1 to score a touchdown or something. So maybe
one catch. Maybe he's 13-1.
One catch, yeah, maybe. It's weird though. It is probably pretty similar to him. His one catch betting line and his touchdown betting line is probably pretty similar. So I don't disagree with you there. But it's Sutton and it's Mims, man. Like Mims looks good, and anytime you can give a guy the ball, like he gets it behind the line of scrimmage, just takes it. The price, he's priced a little bit uncomfortably at like 51. It's like a real price tag now because he's kind of been doing real things on the football field and he deserves it, but that's going to keep the ownership in check quite a bit. What are we showing for Mims? I don't have it up right here, but it's got to be there it is. We're showing, I think it's probably lower than that. We got 16. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to like 10 or something because again, it's somewhat of an uncomfortable price tag. But I'm definitely in on Mims. I think Mims is a really good play because, again, he's priced right around like where those Packers guys are. And I'm not saying those Packers guys are going to be very popular, but it's more competition in that price range. So really like him and Sutton. The Bills stuff is interesting because everyone's just going to go to Shakir. Shakir, if you scroll up, I believe was the highest owned guy on the dry run, right? I mean, he was, so we're getting – if you don't change anything, 99% Shakir. Obviously, we're not playing 99.3% Shakir, but why can't it be Keon Coleman? Why can't it be Amari Cooper? I know Cooper, hasn't looked great, and it's been, he had some personal stuff where he's away from the team, but I don't know. With Amari Cooper, I almost think, because there was some weird comment a few weeks ago with Amari Cooper, and he wasn't doing anything. They're like, we're not showing you guys everything right now. Like, why would we show you everything? I have a weird feeling that Cooper might be like way more involved today, and he's coming in at virtually like no ownership. So I'm going to make sure to just get some Amari Cooper, especially if you're playing a lot of Josh Allen. Get some Amari Cooper. Like Mac Hollins is a dart, throws fine. And then Kincaid, I really like Kincaid. It hasn't been a great season. I mean, Josh Allen has just done a ton with his legs, but I could see some of these secondary pieces for the Bills surprising today, whether it's James Cook or Amari Cooper or Kincaid, showing up with a big game today. So want to be exposed to all these guys. And I don't know, Amari Cooper to me stands out as just a random play that could go off today.
Yeah, two quick things, and then I'll kick. I thought you were done. Sorry, but one that's just popped up, and I literally thought I was looking at his catch prop, and I was like, no, it's actually his yards. It's minus 110 on my book, so he just has to catch one ball is there, but if he catches one ball for 2 yards, you win the prop. But I'm not in on that one. And your Cooper call, or note that you're making, I want to just click in for 2 seconds. I'll say it's very reminiscent of your Stroud mention a couple days ago, where it's like it was not just Stroud, I should say the Texans in general, when you said, it's been 2 or 3 games, but don't forget they didn't really need to show anything. There wasn't really special there. And then they came out and put up a pretty good game yesterday. So, and obviously they won, but I mean, like from a DFS perspective, outside of just Collins, there was still action there. So is that sort of how you're feeling about Cooper in this spot?
Yeah, it was honestly like there was a weird comment because I can't remember the quote. It was like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago where Cooper wasn't doing shit, and there's just some comment like we're not going to show you guys everything right now. They're cruising. Like, I don't know. Like I think they could have some extra stuff in the playbook today, I guess, for Amari Cooper, and it's all subjective on my part, bringing this up. But I don't know. I just wouldn't be surprised if he surprises today. And again, it's not going to take a lot to get overweight on him. He's like unowned because people have given up on him. And yeah, I mean, someone put in there Cooper's toast. Yeah, maybe he is, but at virtually no ownership, I'll play him, and maybe those lineups are toast. But if he gets there, it could pay off in a big way. And I don't know, it's a boom or bust sort of situation at like no ownership. And even someone put Curtis Samuel. If you're playing a lot of Josh Allen, I'm totally fine mixing in any of these dudes. Who the hell knows? I mean, who knows? But I do think a random Bills guy is going to kind of get there today. That's my take on the slate. Packers, no, Christian Watson, like, man, the guy just cannot stay healthy. Like, I can't, like, the Packers cannot be banking on anything from him long term, like whatsoever, but does open up opportunities. Jaden Reed has not been great. Dobbs, Wicks, all coming in pretty low on the slate. I think they're all somewhat viable. I don't know. It's just this Packers stuff just scares me altogether. I mean, all of it does, but at their price tags, I think they're definitely in play today. 5.5 for Reed, 5.4 for Dobbs, and then Wicks at 4,500. The Eagles, AJ Brown, and I really like Devonta Smith today. I mean, very cheap price tag, 57. AJ Brown, he's not like hurt, but he's not 100%. There's something dinged up with the knee. I think Devonta Smith at 5,700 is a really good option. And then going to the Commanders team, Terry McLaurin. I mean, again, he's got the 2 touchdown upside. He's got the slate winning upside on full slates. Now we're at a 3-game slate, and I like Daniel, so I'm going to definitely be playing Scary Terry today. Zacchaeus kind of already touched on him, like a really good prop for like I guess somewhat random people. Like Vegas is now starting to believe that he's a part of this offense. 4,400 is prop somewhere in the 40, I think like 40 some yards, which is good for a guy at 4,400. But he's been very involved. I mean, the targets have been consistent: 3, 4, 8, 9. 5, and then the 5 last week was they kind of pulled Daniels and everything. So I imagine could have been even higher than that for Zacchaeus. And then I don't hate Diami Brown, 3,400. Bucks, it's very clear. Mike Evans going to be highly owned. McMillan, when you guys touched on it, is going to have high ownership as well, potentially higher than even Mike Evans. And then Sterling Shepard, I think, is a cheap play at 33. So a lot of different wide receiver plays, but outside of, I don't know, I'd say like Mike Evans, like as the clear guy in the slate. I mean, a lot of bust potential with these dudes, a lot of question marks, it's just a wide open position today with a lot of like fringe type options.
I feel like, for me at least today, and I'll kick it to you in a sec, Title, but I'm just saying, like, pick whatever you're doing at quarterback sort of dictates it, and then I'm kind of just going with what I'm feeling within the position. If it's someone like a Josh Allen, you mentioned maybe want to extend it out and get a little crazier with it because 3-game slates is usually, it's like my never Mahomes thing. Usually it can be like that with Allen on main slates, but on a 3-gamer, you're definitely playing him. And so that's where you're looking to get a little bit different and take on some more of that risk if you have a big enough portfolio to be able to add it. And like Title, you do a great job of this, always saying if you got 20 or less lineups, maybe you're not doing the Curtis Samuel thing. Maybe you are, because you're taking on more risk and you're more willing to do that. But in general, that's sort of how I'm looking at it. And then our guy Gary, speaking of, Gary's up there in that King of the Desert for PGA right now, says Cooper over 100 with 2 TDs. I just looked it up. My book won't even give me the 100-yard milestone. It stops at 90. But if you do 90 and 2 TDs, it's like 120 to 1. So give that a shot if you want. But
good prop for you. Amari Cooper, 2 touchdowns and under 2.5 catch parlay. What does that pay? Can someone jam that in? I'd be curious. Could you even bet it? I don't even know if you can bet that.
Yeah, usually you get these like what are they, like reverse correlation parlay? Yeah. Mayo always talks about them, and I forget, but they do it because Underdog has a bunch of ways that you can do that good with lowers and stuff. So you can do it the same on your sports book. But Title, let me kick it to you, man. Thoughts at wide receiver? I'm going to try and look that thing up.
Well, yeah, I want to touch on this. So last week, Crowder and Deemy Brown did play, and Zacchaeus still was second in the wide receiver room in snaps. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I like going team by team, but the two teams that stand out that I probably will be most overweight to the field is Washington to start. I mean, all their ownership looks to be in check. I'll be playing a decent amount of Jaden Daniels, Scary Terry, very fair price tag. I'll be playing a lot of him. Zacchaeus at 4,400. You keep talking about him. I think he's strong. And Deemy Brown, he was number 3 in snaps for a very cheap price tag at 3,400. So I love the Washington wide receiver room. And then the Packers. This is, again, I'm not going to Jacobs. I'm not playing as much love, but we don't have anyone above 20% in the Packers wide receiver room. And the highest price is Jaden Reed at 5,500. Especially if a lot of people, it seems like almost everyone's on the Eagles. If the Eagles jump out and they're up 21-0 or something, Packers are going to throw the ball. And one of these guys, I think, are going to get there. So at their price tags, Wicks is my favorite at 4,500. Then I'd go Jaden Reed at 5,500. Dobbs my third favorite. But Washington and the Packers receiving room, neither breaks the bank, which I do need, especially jamming in the Buckies, the Saquons of the world, are my two favorite when I'm looking at ownership to the field and price tags. Going to Denver, I'm just playing Sutton and Mims. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, are they ever going to raise this guy's snap count, or do they just want to keep him fresh so anytime he is in, he gets the ball? But he still hasn't played over 40% of snaps. When he gets the ball, though, this man is very explosive. If Bo Nix does get to the optimal, I mean, Mims probably has a decent chance to help Nix get there because the big play upside. Him and Sutton, the only ones I'm messing with there. I'm not going Ville, Troy Franklin, any of them. Ville, if I was playing 150, again, right now I got 50 teams in the millie, so try and keep it more condensed. Same thing can be said about Buffalo. Pretty much just Shakir. When we get to tight end, I will be playing a good amount of Kincaid, but a lot of my Josh stuff will be either singles with Shakir, singles with Kincaid, because I am playing Josh for that minus 130 rushing prop, etc. The Coopers of the world. Cooper, Samuel. I will have a little Keon Coleman. He is by far number 2 in terms of he's always on the field in 2 wide receiver sets. So big guy can maybe catch a touchdown. I don't love it much. We'll just have him in Josh Allen stuff. Philly, I do prefer Devontae to A.J. Brown because of the 1,800 savings. I think A.J. Brown's interesting, though. Like, he has leverage off of Saquon. He always has that 150, 2-touchdown, big-time upside. Do
you think he gets? Does he get squeezed a little bit today?
I think so.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. What are we showing there, Tambo, on Mr. Brown?
Right at the bottom, 22.
22, which, I mean, that's
low for
period.
3-game slate for AJ Brown. Like, if he comes in around that number, I think that's a good spot.
I don't, like, everyone keeps saying, like, he's got like his AC, his knees screwed up. Like, yeah, but he's playing today.
3 games, 79.5 receiving prop.
That's an interesting spot because, like, 3-game slate, AJ Brown, like, we've seen his ownership there on. Well, I mean, this year it's been pretty low overall, his ownership, but like 22% on a 3-game slate, a guy that has 8 for 120 and 2 touchdown upside in his sleep. Like, man, that maybe it is.
That price is fair. Like, it goes both ways, but you could have seen an 8,200 or an 80. Like, it's 7,500.
It's one of those. Yeah, and it's just to add on to that, it's one of those things. Like, you open up the slate at like 105 Eastern. Would you be shocked if that number is like 16 or 17? Because I wouldn't.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I just bumped them a little more. The problem is I like Daniels more. I like Josh Allen more. I like some of the other quarterback. Yeah, well, read the first part of his name. Of course he does.
We know.
Eliminate Phantom 1, and we know why.
Yeah. We got much love, though, Philly. Sharp dude, always grinding all the sports. But, yeah, you go Birds right after. That was one thing that really did stand out. But then I'm telling you, like, what are the odds if A.J. Brown really gets there? Like, is Hurts there? Or because of that,
so, or close.
Yeah, and I don't love Hurts.
I don't know. Like, yes and no. I mean, there's like other. I mean, there's
QBs that can get 30.
There's high upside quarterbacks on the slate. Like, I mean, you have Nix who's gotten there a bunch. You have Allen who's gotten there a bunch, and you don't need wide receivers to go along with Allen. We know that. Jaden Daniels, the same thing. He can get there, and you don't necessarily need his wide receivers. And then, Baker as well. So I think he can get there without Hurts. Like, if you don't like Hurts, I think
perfect.
AJ Brown can still get there.
I love it. I actually love that you said that, because that's actually what I was trying to think about for this slate. I'm originally thinking, like Title said, I know he's just asking, so it's good that we talked through it, because I would think that like a 2 touchdown day, but what if it's just like an 8 for 110 and 1 that still does stuff? And again, I guess the double look at it, like Title always said, there's levels to the shit though, is then I say, okay, we do have enough solid quarterbacks and ways to use them that it could just be a nice leverage to Barkley more than it is leverage even to the Hurts stuff. But then I also think about, like, if we're really leveraging Barkley, the double way is the Jalen Hurts tush push with a touchdown or 10, 180 and 1 to AJ Brown. He's got yards, he's got touchdowns, he's got all. So I'll have a little bit of both, but I think Hoop nailed it, and I'm definitely willing to play AJ Brown in non-Barkley builds as a way to get different. You could have a day where AJ Brown and Amari Cooper, that everyone sort of thinks they're no good or stuff for whatever reason, like these guys, there's no way they could do anything. But then it's a 3-game slate. You see both of them go off. Maybe Hoopster's on the right track here with those calls. But anything else you had there, Title? Sorry, I know you were rounding it out.
Yeah, I'll just get into the last. Tampa Bay was the last receiving room. My favorite at ownership of the bunch would be Sterling Shepard, because he's 3,300. And again, if I like AJ Brown, Saquon, Bucky, you need salary relief. He's wide receiver 3. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think ownership will also definitely be there as well. Sterling will be higher on than Demi Brown, but both are, I think, very solid, cheap options. They'll be on the field. Everyone's talking about the Lattimore, Mike Evans stuff. I'm not necessarily really worried about that as much as Mike Evans is 7,900. Like, I prefer AJ Brown straight up in that same range if we're choosing. But Jalen McMillan's also strong. Also, all of them, I guess mainly Mike Evans, because McMillan's definitely coming with ownership, but he leverages off that Bucky stuff. The problem is, again, Baker fell down my list a little bit there. So I like Josh Allen a lot, so I'll have a lot of Shakir. I like Daniels a lot, so Scary Terry, and you get like $1,000 difference plus from some of those top guys. And I think my one-offs, I'm talking myself into AJ Brown over some of those guys more. So I'll have some Mike Evans. I can't jam them in a ton. But wide receiver is definitely the room where you can get different on this slate. Like, we mentioned so many guys. No Packers receiver over 20%. AJ 22. Like, all of these guys pretty much are in check. And that extra game, 3 games versus 2 yesterday, is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, I'm not going to, because you guys did a good job covering it, but it's just going to pair up with what I'm doing at the quarterbacks and then be willing to spread it out. I think the AJ Brown one was sort of a good one that you brought up. I thought earlier when you said the Cooper thing, I was kind of leaning Coleman as well. We talked about this. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago anyway. We talked about it, where the interesting thing about
though. I mean, he's very low owned as well for a 3-game slate, so it's a similar.
He's the
play.
Safer low owned play for sure.
He's just one thing about him. I forget when we talked about this, but it's like he's always open but Josh Allen just scrambles so much. By the time he's done scrambling, these routes are done. We're on to like a secondary creator route where all of a sudden big dude Coleman's just wide open and can just chuck him the ball. The good thing about Josh Allen, he has that ability to do that. Big, strong, on the run, leaning one way, whatever it might be, he can find him. So I definitely think he's one that stood out to me. And I know Shakir's going to be popular for good reason. I like him, but just saying, you looking for some of these alternatives. Wicks was a guy I was going to bring up that I didn't hear a ton about, but if you are going to go to somebody on Green Bay, I like him. He's getting some ownership, but not too concerned. Like you said earlier, Hoop, too, these guys at 20% or less on a 3-game or whatever. Like, I'm
those
fine
are low-owned plays, man. Like, anyone coming in under 20% on a 3-game slate that you're playing is a low-owned play. Like, that's a low-owned option.
And we got $1 million up top on DraftKings today, times 2. I'm not playing in the main 44, but in the $20 there. So can't go without playing our guy, Jalen McMillian over there. He's been coming through. So Baker with Jalen, with Mike Evans, you can play it with Bucky or without if you want to leverage Bucky, but you can definitely mix those guys up. Use a guy like OZ on the other side. Use up all your wide receiver positions. So just from a DFS perspective, I think that's interesting and good segue to tight end. We just got Schefter posting out that Cade Otton expected to play. I think we thought that, but the coach was keeping it a little bit in check, but we thought he was going to be back. Cade Otton expected to play. So Title, I'll stay with you. Tight end position, what do you got?
Man, it's There's a clear 5 for me. It's the Kincaid, Goddard, Ertz, Kraft, Otten. I don't think there's any like hot takes there. But man, these tight ends, like when you look at game log stuff, like no one on the Broncos, I'm not messing with the Crawls, Troutmans of the world. Game log's been tough for a lot of these guys. So it comes back to, I guess, what am I doing at quarterback? I am playing a good amount of Josh. So Kincaid's probably going to be my highest owned tight end for the simple. I can just single stack them pretty easily. Ertz, my second favorite, because I'm going to have a good amount of Daniels. And I've been saying Zach Ertz's name all year. I'm just going to keep riding it. He has been solid. My third favorite, I think, is Tucker Kraft. I just think he's a really good football player, and I'm going to lean into this Green Bay passing attack. They shut down Jacobs. They have to throw the ball. I think Kraft will definitely be involved. And then from there, Goddard, Otten, I don't have too strong of a lean. Double tight end is definitely in play. It's going to be owned. And why it's in play and why it's going to be owned is because of everyone I mentioned. Nobody is above 4,300. That's Zach Ertz's price tag. You want Bucky, A.J. Brown, all of that. Double tight end does work, but we mentioned Sterling Shepard, Zacchaeus, Daimi Brown, the Coopers of the world. I mentioned McLaughlin, Eckler. Like, you don't need to, by any means, to go the 2 tight end route. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how much you guys both love 2 tight ends. But Kincaid's my favorite, Ertz second, Kraft third. I don't have a strong lean. Probably Goddard 4, Otten 5 if I had to do it. But mainly that's because it aligns with my quarterback like exposures, and I like throwing my tight end with my quarterback when I pair it.
Man, that's rare. That is rare. That is very rare. That's
the mute button on. That's
got to be a good. That's either a good sign or a bad sign. And I'm saying it's probably going to be good because.
Well, I've never won a milli and I've never been muted, so why not double down on that? Kevin Mute stands for milli. Maybe today's the day, but I will say my take was going to be that I was running into there thinking I was just crushing it. Was that using 2 tight end sets a bunch, or not 2 tight end sets? Sorry, not 12 personnel. We've been using 2 tight ends in our lineups a lot. But we've also had a lot of 2. We've needed it. 1, Title just nailed the points on why we don't need it on this slate. And 2, it's a lot of those tight ends have been wide receiver 1s. Yes, there's been a reemergence of Ertz. We think Dalton Kincaid, maybe Knox is out there with Kincaid. They got other dudes we think it's going to be a Coleman or a Cooper, or Shakir actually does come through. James Cook. Like, I just don't see where it has to be that way today. So I really like Title's call of being able to go 3 running backs, getting an extra 4th wide receiver in there. I'll probably have less 2 tight end lineups overall than usual just because of those main points. Hoop, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, it's less of a necessity on today's slate to go 2 tight ends, but like if you just go in there and build teams, you're going to get a lot of it. It's just still going to 2 tight ends because these guys are kind of showing up as like the best values on the slate. So forcing your way around that and going a different route, I think definitely makes sense. Embracing some of the risk at wide receiver, like going 4 wide receivers. We talked about that position. It's kind of a wide open, a lot of question mark type position. 4 wide receivers, I think probably comes in pretty low owned today for sure. And even, 3 running backs would be lower than the 2 tight ends. I mean, you just naturally are going to get a lot of 2 tight end plays, 2 tight end lineups, but these guys are individually solid plays. I kind of agree with, Title's ranking, Kincaid. I really like Goddard. Goddard at 3,900, I think is a really strong play today. If we like AJ Brown, we like his ownership, but if he does somehow get re-injured or whatever, the knee's more serious, and we're thinking like Goddard could fill in a really, really big role. So I do really like Goddard. Otten, because of the injury tag, probably comes in lower owned than he would be, and it seems like them holding him out at the end of the season was somewhat precautionary. Like, he's been good all year, so I really like Otten. I agree with the Tucker Kraft stuff, and then Ertz as well. Ertz kind of emerged here at the end of the season, so I like all these guys. I will have the 2 tight end lineups as well, but it's not sneaky. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's 2 tight ends sneaky today." Hell no, it's definitely not sneaky. And again, if you just build lineups, you're going to get a ton of it. So just be careful with that. Don't think because you're playing 2 tight ends you're going to be different. That's a very common route today. But individually, to me, all these guys are really, really good plays.
I love the Cade Otten, the squeeze play too, right? And people are going to get to Ertz. It's the opposite of Ertz in the same game, couple $100. Not that you need the money. It's just doing the little bit of a flip there. And then he's in between the Goddards and the Ertz plays. So I like that call. And then also, too, most optimizers have this, but if you guys are using Shiptimizer, I know a lot of members tune in and watch as well. We appreciate that, but you can limit your stuff in the flex today if you wanted to get, like Hoop said, you're just going to naturally get that. So if you want to move away from it, that's a way to do it where you can just jump in and make it happen. So defense, Hoop, I'll stay with you. I don't know if you had those takes earlier. It's obviously very high variance position, but anything you want to add to defense from what we mentioned today?
Let's see. Pull up defense here. I don't know, man. It's such a tough position to figure out. Like, I'm not necessarily excluding anyone. Like today, like we talked about yesterday, where we didn't like the Texans. We know how that worked out. Didn't work out very well because you absolutely needed them to win anything. Even with like the Broncos, Josh Allen occasionally does dumb stuff, and if he makes one dumb move and the Broncos fully maximize that mistake, like it could be enough at 24. I don't hate the Packers at 26. Commanders, I don't know. I'm just playing, whatever I get, I guess today at defense. Like I don't know. I just have no strong leans, and maybe you guys do. I don't.
No, I think it just ends up usually coming down to like Title said, even when you're doing an MME portfolio, you can still sort of leverage it up in a way of, okay, it tells a story. If I'm not going to be yesterday, if you're not on Herbert, you could easily play Ladd McConkey and the Texans D. Ladd McConkey can just catch, have one of those like Trey McBride type games where it's a bunch of catches, a ton of yards, maybe one touchdown, but the defense still goes off. And we saw that. There's some people I saw in the chat earlier saying for their large slate 6-gamer stuff, they're sitting on just Ladd and the Houston D or something. Yes, that's possible. But overall, that's why it's hard to have takes. It's like you say, just anything can happen at any given moment. Title, you got something to add at defense?
No, I mean, I just X'd out Broncos just because I was only getting a couple teams with them, and I'm playing 50 teams, so I wanted to narrow it a bit. Broncos probably will be on the winner, so do with that what you will. I do like Eagles. I think the Packers passing game gets going. I think they shut down the run, but Love does make mistakes. I'm going to play into that. You can play Eagles with some of these Packers pass catchers. Bills at home as 8.5-point favorites. Obviously scream pretty strong. I'm not playing Broncos. So, yeah, I guess that's my takes. Eagles, Bills, no Broncos. But, yeah, that's all I'm doing. No hot takes. It's super flex. That's all I want. I saw someone comment one day when we talked about it. No, why are you saying that and getting mad? But I hate this random.
It would be way better. I know. Yeah, even if they would do it without, even if they would just force like an additional flex, like not a super flex, but they pull it for another flex, and you can't have two quarterbacks, I'd still be fine with that. I would still prefer it, obviously, as another option. And this is another thing, like Michael brings this up. We've been talking a little bit about the Sims lately just to see it, but it's just like that's another thing to look at, right? That's why I think it's good to, if you're including it, to look off of what they're doing and see what others. It's not an automatic win button that you get it because that's the case. And I realistically, like I said today, I'll have some. For sure, to Hoop's point, they project the best, the values, the lineups look great when you get a couple tight ends in there. But when you've got Sterling Shepard, who we talked about, Olamide Zaccheaus, you've got Jalen McMillan, who's the other guy I was thinking of, Devonta Smith. Like these guys are all Diami Brown. These guys have pretty good props that are similar to these tight ends that still fit in just as easily. And that's in the 4 wide receiver lineups, like that you could set up for wide receiver lineups with 4 of them. And then even the running backs Title talked about earlier, if you are going to mix in some of the Ecklers or McLaughlins or things like that, that's another way to do it as well. So there's definitely ways that you can go on this slate that don't require you to use it, but you can use your optimizer, your contest sims, whatever it is that you're using to be able to go for or against that and lean one way or the other. Title, any final thoughts on this slate before we get out of here?
No, I feel good about it. I was messing with my exposures and everything when we were going through. Cheering for the pack, but mainly cheering for my money. Why I'm cheering for the pack? I'm going to be playing some of these pass catchers that are low owned. Maybe a little A.J. Brown boosted that. I think it's a good Saquon day. But have your team tell a story. You can always leave money. Again, 3 games is closer to a showdown than it is a main slate. So leaving money definitely viable. We had a lot of cheap options. And, yeah, like a lot of what I do at quarterback will then dictate the rest of my lineup there. But, yeah, good luck. It's 3 games, staggered time, football all day. Can't get much better.
Yeah, before I go to you, Hoop, just to note, Corbin, we're using the exact same stuff you're using right now, so you might have to just refresh or log out and log back in, but we've got Josh Allen, we've got Barkley, we talked through all the other stuff, so you just got to make sure on there when you go back to players tab that your last update is matching ours. And then obviously we'll continue to update it. You can refresh it. I just have what was up before the show. So just a note there. Hoop, final thoughts on this slate, the Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown slate that is, and your call on Amari Cooper. What's up with that? What do we got?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, the pass catchers on the slate, I think it's wide open, man. A lot of uncomfortable plays, but I think we can definitely embrace that today. And we don't have the slam dunks that we had yesterday. I mean, Nico Collins looked like an absolute slam dunk, paid it off. The lad McConkey looked like a slam dunk play, paid it off. We don't necessarily have that on the slate. My random call today is definitely Amari Cooper, but we forgot one thing. We got the food stuff. So if anyone has any food questions,
I forgot. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. So we got to, if you have any questions about Hoops food preferences, or it's kind of turned into a show segment. So any food questions, get them in there. We'll cover those. But, at the quarterback, I mean, it's going to be those four guys. If you're playing Bo Nix, probably a little low owned. Jordan Love, probably the lowest owned on the slate. Saquon, Bucky Irving, very popular at running back. Anything else has a chance to be a little bit different. Wide receiver, we have a lot of different options. Tight end, it's going to be those main five guys, and a lot of them are going to be paired together. But Cade Otton, to me, at tight end kind of stands out as the guy that probably comes in lowest owned and has the potential to definitely go out there and break the slate. So it's a fun one. There's that one extra game, man. Going from 2 to 3 seems like a huge difference. And looking forward to the slate and playoff football. And then obviously tomorrow we'll have the Showdown show as well, covering the Vikings and Rams.
Yeah, those that don't know, this is what it's turned into. We like to get down to business early, get you as much of the content as possible. The marketing at this time in point, like I said, we go through some throughout the show. I'll try and mix it in, but people are starting to see it already. You're seeing the logos in a lot more places. We've teased there's even bigger things coming, but realistically, if at the time to join SHIPIT Nation was yesterday, like you just every day you're not over there, that's a you decision. We're letting you know. We know what it is. We can go through it. There's promos. You can get the PGA full season and get all access through to the end of the season. But we've started the end of the show. It's like an OT. It's like a bonus. And nothing people can relate to more than food takes. And I found the first one. And
there's some good ones, man. Today is going to be some controversy. I can already tell based on these questions. All right. So this one right out of the gate is going to definitely piss some people off. I absolutely hate hot dogs. My least favorite food is a hot dog. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And hot dogs to me are so gross. I hate hot dogs. I'll do Italian sausage. I'll do that sort of thing. But a hot dog, I think, is the most disgusting food out there.
What about if it's like an all beef hot dog, like made properly right from the steak type of thing or anything like that?
I think hot dogs are disgusting.
See, the best and worst part of these food takes for Hoop title is he gets the take. We're excited for the answer. The crowd is on the edge of their seat. And then Hoop just abandons the whole project. It's like, no, actually, I'm not about ketchup on hot dogs. I'm just off hot dogs. And they're like, what? What are you?
If I was like, I have eaten hot dogs like at a barbecue or something. That's all that there is. It's all that's left is a hot dog. I will eat it, but it's with mustard, man. I love mustard. I'm a mustard guy, and it's just mustard if I do it. So I guess that answers the full question.
Also, honey mustard or Dijon mustard. I'm a mustard over ketchup guy for sure. Title, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have many hot dogs, but I'm good with them. I'm good with ketchup on my hot dogs and mustard.
All right, one that didn't pop up yet, so I'm going to ask you because I've got a couple others I see there, but this is definitely one Hoop, is seafood. Are you a seafood guy? And if so, what's your seafood of choice?
So this is, I guess, it won't be controversial. I used to hate seafood. I would never do seafood at all. And Mrs. Hoop likes the seafood. So we kind of started eating a little bit more. It's funny, my son is very, very picky, but his favorite food is like grilled shrimp. So we've kind of incorporated more seafood in. But yeah, I'll do the seafood. Not a big like fish guy, but I like lobster and shrimp. I'm good with lobster and shrimp are my two pieces of seafood that I like the most, but not a big fish guy, to be honest.
Yeah, I live in the land of the lobster, so I certainly love all seafoods, but I also, I like to eat. So I'm a seafood diet guy, seafood and eat it. But Title, where are you at on the actual seafood options?
Oh, yeah.
Any that stand out?
Oh, yeah, lobster's great, but I mean, give me a good old fish fry back in Wisconsin's always good. I mean, I love all the seafood.
Yeah, me too.
We do need this. I do need this because this could be really bad.
Yeah, this could surprise people for sure. One food dressing that most people hate that I absolutely love is blue cheese. I love blue cheese. I am a huge blue cheese fan. Like I'll get it on salads. It's weird. It's like somewhat of a picky eater. Like, and most people hate blue cheese, right? So it only makes sense that I would love blue cheese. Love blue. My mom, she was big into it, so she'd always, incorporate.
So it's blue cheese over ranch.
Blue cheese over ranch for sure. I love blue cheese.
One time, I tried to put it on my steak, and I want to at the back day working at the car dealership. We would
good on. Okay, so I have had that. That's actually really good. You get the blue cheese steak combo. Well done steak.
Hockey puck steak with blue cheese. Sounds like the worst thing of all time.
Oh, good. That's how you eat a steak right there, boys. Hockey puck with blue cheese. Ooh, such a good combination.
It's clear where title are at. What about you? Definitely love grilled chicken.
Yeah. So huge. Like if I'm grilling, that's my preference. Like a lot of people get a steak or something. I just like I like grilled chicken for sure. Absolutely love it. What flavor of chicken wing?
Blue cheese. What the fuck? That is insane.
I like a lot of different flavors with chicken wings. Like I don't like the super soup. I'm not like one of those give me the spiciest thing you got type guy. Like I don't want that. Like I'll get mild, honey barbecue, Parmesan garlic. That's pretty good. I like a lot of different flavors on wings, so not very picky when it comes to that, but I just don't want like the burn your mouth type of shit. Like I don't need that. Like that's not enjoyable.
People signing waivers to eat wings. I never like they want to burn the skin on their cheek while they're eating. I don't mind a hot wing. I'm not against hot. I'm saying why do you want it so hot that it literally can burn your skin or something? That's not enjoyable to me. Title, did you have a favorite wings flavor?
Honey barbecue.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's I'm with that for sure. If I had to pick one, it would probably be honey barbecue. I think that's a very solid choice.
I like that. I like an Asian style too. Like sometimes they have like an Asian sweet sauce or a Korean style or something like that. I definitely like Korean fried chicken too, by the way, is delicious. If you ever get the just different spice combination or whatever, but it's definitely good. I wanted to ask this one, Hoop. Raisins in cookies.
Love it. Love raisins. I like raisins. I like oatmeal raisin cookies. I think are absolutely delicious. I'm definitely good with the raisins.
You like it more than chocolate chip?
I'd say so. Yeah, I like oatmeal raisin is probably one of my favorite cookies for sure.
Yeah, people are getting pissed now in the comments. Absolutely. Look at Swaggy
Which
Pete.
One?
Just go down and find Swaggy Pete. It's a good one. What about you, Title? You like these raisins?
My buddy has me choking. I gotta spit out phlegm. It's fine, but I like chocolate way more.
That's good. Swaggy Pete does not like the food takes from Hoopster.
No, I like that. This is my thoughts here. Buddy wants a burnt hot dog with mustard. If it swims, I'll eat it. What the hell's wrong with you? He just keeps going.
Yeah, I knew the hot dog thing would not go over well, but I guess there's like a little bit of a background to it, and it's that like I don't want to get people to come on my side and feel bad about burying me on it. But like the first time as a kid that I remember throwing up, I had eaten a hot dog. I used to get migraines all the time as kids, and I get them really bad where I'd throw up. I happened to eat a hot dog that day, and it's like my first memory of throwing up, and it was a hot dog coming up. So that doesn't help the situation, but I still by no means think they're like enjoyable to eat. So no.
Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, but I mean, I go to the Coney Islands, but I don't get a hot dog. Like I get something different. Like you can always get like a chicken salad, or you can get like a chicken wrap or something. So I like going to the Coney Islands, but I don't get like the hot dog with like the freaking chili on it and onions. It looks so disgusting.
I've asked you this before. Pasty, is that just way up in the UP? A pasty?
Yeah, they got them, I think, but I think more popular way up there. Yeah, I think it's definitely more popular way up there for sure.
We're gonna add this to his X or Twitter bio. Anti-glizzy. He's out on him, so that might be his new thing. But he's not in on those. What else do we got?
There's a lot. There's a lot of comments in here.
Yeah, people love this stuff. Moldy brick. Thanks, Beetle. That's what I'm talking about. That's terrible. Just
blue cheese, man. It's so good though.
But that's what
that's an awful take.
I don't like.
You guys really like it, like because Miss Hoop hates it. Like she just thinks it's the most disgusting thing ever. Like it's like either blue cheese is probably one of the most controversial
Polarizing
food.
food,
Polarizing food. You either love it or you absolutely hate it and want to throw up. Similar to an onion. I feel like people either love onions or absolutely hate onions. I think it's the same with like blue cheese. You either love it or hate it. There's like no in between. But blue cheese is great though, man.
Do you love or hate onions?
Hate onions. Oh my gosh. I think onions are so disgusting. Like absolutely disgusting. If an onion's on my food, like I have to just eliminate the food, get rid of it. Like there's no coming back. Hate onions.
It's actually good because you're gonna hate this for sure. But if you are eating, I don't eat a lot of hot dogs just because I've seen how they're made, like people talk about. But if it's a all beef or something, if it's there at someone talking about a cookout, I've been invited to some cookouts. I am a burgers over dogs guy as well. But if I was getting a dog, you could put onions on it and mustard, honey mustard with onions on a hot dog is a good way to have it to make it feel better and taste better.
See, the support always comes in. People are so afraid to say it up front, then the support starts piling on. It always starts piling on. People don't want to say it up front. Look at this.
752, and you're like, all the support.
Yeah,
there's like literally people telling him that he's should be banished off this earth. And then one guy says
the support builds, man. People strength in numbers. People hear me say it, then they start to build on a little bit. That's what it's all about, man. That's how you build the community. Start with something controversial.
Yeah, he does. I agree.
No, I am not trolling. Like you guys should know me by now. I'm very upfront. These are legitimate thoughts. Like I'm not making this shit up.
He's not.
Definitely. What about it doesn't have to be ketchup or gravy, but just about gravy in general, or about the pasty, whatever you want to call it. But what about the gravy take? Are you a gravy guy?
Yeah, I'm fine with gravy, but it's like, what do you really use with gravy nowadays? Like turkey is turkey's disgusting. Like I don't think that's a hot take. Like my family has fully gotten away on Thanksgiving, gotten away from like turkey. We just do like food that people enjoy. Like if turkey was here's my take on turkey. If turkey was so good, why do people only eat it on Thanksgiving? Like why do people only eat a turkey on Thanksgiving?
That's been debunked.
But that's the truth though. It's not debunked. It's the truth.
Literally, it takes like a day to make that meal. People are lazy and want to watch TikTok reels. They ain't trying to cook up a turkey dinner on a Monday night. But
you could get it in a quicker fashion. There's other ways to get like a turkey. Like no one's signing up to have turkey on a Tuesday night with their family because it's
people eat like chicken and potato and gravy and carrots and eat that as a regular meal.
Do you think it's because the length that it takes to prepare a turkey? That's the only reason people eat it. People will drive hours to get the meal that they want. If turkey was so good, they'd set it up on a Monday, they'd start cooking it, they'd have it for dinner by Tuesday. No one does that shit because they hate turkey. Turkey's gross.
No, people get excited.
The rare team hoop.
Yeah. It's not enjoyable. That's why no one eats it throughout the year.
But yet at that one time of year, they just make it for no reason as well.
Tradition. They do it as a tradition. That's why, because people think on Thanksgiving. Yeah, we're gonna take
a meal. They're posting it out like people love turkey dinner.
We'll take turkey advice from the Canadian guy on the show. That sounds like a great idea. About
Canadian Thanksgiving in October. Come on, that's why
no one likes turkey.
Too.
No one likes the chat. Will have my back on this one. No one likes turkey.
No, all the support is pouring in.
Let's see. Everyone vote. I think Hoop might win this one.
I'm gonna win this one for
sure. Common thing that people say though. It's the most thing they say, but it's
the true thing they all say.
They wouldn't keep going back to the well. They would do what the Hoop family does and just make other shit.
We do too. I think a lot of families do. We don't do turkey anymore.
Yeah, we fully got away from turkey because everyone hates it, especially kids. Kids hate turkey too. So if you have a lot of kids at Thanksgiving, they're like, "What is this shit? I don't want it." Here's an interesting
red meat.
Looks like a lot of people are going turkey right now.
Pro turkey.
Yeah.
I'm behind on the chat because this thing's moving quickly. But
turkey sandwiches, people do all and you don't like red meat, but you don't like turkey.
No, if it's like to me, if I'm gonna do something like turkey, I just eat chicken because chicken's way more enjoyable than freaking turkey.
People do all year when they don't want to make a turkey dinner because it takes a long time. So they
don't do the turkey because they don't want turkey because turkey tastes like shit and it's bland and boring. But here's an interesting one: the olives. So I used to always hate olives. So this is something that's kind of flipped for me. I used to always hate olives. Now I like olives. I eat olives. Olives for sure.
I like olives for sure. Yeah. Tyler, you in or out on olives?
Yeah, they're whatever. But I do like this. Maybe it's just a little like today the Eagles, dry bird, they're going to stink, and the Packers are going to win. And try and flip it any way you can.
Yeah, these guys are Turkey's support is out there in tons, man.
Great turkey take.
Yeah,
See, you just pick the ones you want. Great turkey take.
No, I think we're in the minority. I think there's a lot more on
this
Tambo.
is good call, though.
People like traditions, man. People like traditions. So they know turkey is a tradition on Thanksgiving, and they're too afraid to say they hate it because it's
prime rib. If you have a small thing,
yep, we've done that before. Yeah, my father-in-law took that.
No politics allowed, but this was a good comment. I don't care. We'll be an American.
Yeah, let's go, man. We'll welcome you all day. That would make things a lot easier for business if that happened.
I think you guys are going to get the other side of the country. That's how it's going to work. Pork chops. Do you like pork chops? That's a good one. Hoops are eating a big old pork chop. What's the call here? It's
it's too chewy, too hard to chew. I mean, it's not I don't hate it, but it's not a preference for. I haven't had pork chops in years.
It's too hard to chew, says well done steak guy.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the well done steak. Give me the well done steak over the pork chop.
It might not be cooked enough for him. Maybe that's why, because it's definitely not as bad as that. Turkey.
Yeah, see, people hate turkey. It's starting to pile on.
You need to moisten up that turkey. You're eating bad turkey, Hoop. That's what it is. Get a turducken.
If I'm going to moisten something up, it ain't going to be a turkey. I'll promise you that.
Okay. Hoop done had some bad turkey. Probably had a bad turkey dish.
Yeah, but then I'm with Hoop. Like you see, like you guys always are, picking off these one-offs where people are against me.
Sorry, Hoop. By the way, my guy Steve G from earlier. Everyone always wants to shit on me for these hockey takes. And title, you're in the hockey streets. That is a Quebec Nordiques logo in masked with the team they ultimately became, the Colorado Avalanche, where you see that little unit wrap around it. So we know Herky takes. Yeah, what's this one again? You gave Nibs or something today.
Yeah, I do like a lot of candy, which obviously is not good for you, and don't endorse it. But I do kind of have a sweet tooth. My favorite would probably be Skittles, man. I like Skittles.
Sour or
normal? Normal. My kids like the sour though, so they get the sour. So I do dabble in the sour streets as well, but more normal, more normal standard Skittles.
Man, I don't know. Last time probably Reese's. If I'm having it, it's in my ice cream, Oreo, Reese's, stuff like that. But the last time I've had
sour soothers, the keys or whatever you call them, those are my favorite.
The what?
A whole bag of those things. This is a good one.
What are they, Tambo? Sour what?
Well, they're like I don't know if they call them soothers or keys, but they're like a circle at the top and then like a line that goes down. It looks like a key almost, and it's sour. Did you ever have like fuzzy peaches before?
Oh, those are good.
So those are good, but it's look up like a sour soother.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking now.
The real question is, did you order your red vines yet?
No, they're not in Canada. You're sending them to me this month.
Title said Amazon has them.
But Amazon.
Another food similar to olives that I used to hate that I now like. I like mushrooms. I like portobello mushrooms. My father-in-law always he hunts for them. What are the wild mushrooms that are very expensive? You can sell them. Someone's gonna know in the chat. What the fuck are those things called? Damn it! They're at the base of trees. Someone in the chat's gonna know for sure. They look like a mini tree, brown tree kind of. They're very small, but they're very good. No, morel mushrooms. You guys ever had those? Morel mushrooms.
Probably, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're very good. Morel, yep, they know. Morel mushrooms. Yeah, very, very good. So that's if you get a chance to have a morel, do that. It's they're rare to find, but if you find them, they're good and you can sell them for actually quite a good price. There's one up here for sure. My guy Colin, where the hell did he go? Because he's been on my side, rightfully so.
Rightfully so, he says. Mushroom slap.
Yes. So that's actually what we did for Thanksgiving. We did tacos and nachos for Thanksgiving this year, and it was absolutely phenomenal, man. Like, I don't think we're ever going back. I think we are doing Mexican for Thanksgiving moving forward.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's easy to make, so people prefer it because they can just make that any day, and that's why people eat it year round because it takes half an hour and you're done.
No, because it actually tastes good.
And it tastes a little better.
It tastes a hell of a lot better than a freaking bland turkey.
You can eat every day like that. People would definitely still sign up for turkey.
I mean, title's rarely on my side with all this.
But that doesn't matter. I think the chat. I'm on your side, but I think the chat was.
I love Mexican food. It's one of my favorite cuisines.
I'm
It's
older
part
than you.
of-
I understand the logic of people. They're afraid to go against tradition. So if they say they hate turkey, it's like against the American family tradition. They don't want to say it.
I do think if you're hosting, if you're having a bunch of people over, you are worried about that being the contrarian. I do agree with that.
If you're hosting, people are going to be afraid. They're going to be afraid to not roll out a turkey. So they have to do a turkey because it's Thanksgiving. No one wants
the chalk bus. It's okay. It's the chalk.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Everybody likes the chalk. We know that. Any others that you saw there, Hoopster? Anything else you want to bring to the table?
Oh, good conversation though.
Let's do this. Man. Let's finish off on that.
What am I eating today?
I don't know either. I was hoping someone was going to bring up something good for me to put on the plate because I don't know the agenda either. I had a Euro last night. The Euro was really nice.
How was that?
Oh,
good.
I love
it. Yeah, I have nothing. Whatever Mrs. Hoops cooking is what.
That's what I'm having too. Cooking up, but I did eat good last night because it was the Ravens game. So I had my buddy over, his girl. We all got together. We sort of had a little potluck. There was a taco dip. Speaking about Mexican, there's a taco dip with cheese and everything in there that you mix it up, and then we had wings.
Bring it. Save it for the Canadian Thanksgiving next year. You'll be all set.
Did you guys ever have this though? Maybe the chat will know about it. Did you ever have lumpia before? It's a Filipino spring roll. It's absolutely delicious. We had those last night as well. So if anybody knows about those are definitely good. But maybe not everybody would know about them. It's like LUMPIA, lumpia. And it's a Filipino spring roll, and it's like pork with veg. It's got all this stuff mixed in it, custom made wraps and stuff. They're delicious. But yeah, I had some buffalo chicken dip.
That's where it's at, man. If I could have like a snack during a game, like that's what I want right there, buffalo chicken dip.
And then you get your honey hot wings or honey barbecue wings to separate from the buffalo hot wings. It's like when you play AJ Brown instead of Barkley. You're like flipping the builds. You're instead of the buffalo hot wings, you go buffalo chicken dip, and then you get like a honey barbecue wing in there and switch it up.
Yeah, and then you fire up that grill and get yourself a nice fillet and burn the shit out of it.
Yeah, this was good too. Eric killed me with that one. And then the best is when he said he doesn't like pork chop because it's too chewy. You can't even make a pork chop as chewy as a well done steak. It's almost
impossible. It is hard to that. Even if you got to admit though, if you're it is hard to get through some of those pork chops, man. It's a tough meat. It's a tough meat.
Yeah, you got to have it cooked properly. That's why.
Yeah, I guess.
Same as the steak. I don't know. I'm good with this. I think this is a great segment. People are loving it.
This is a good way to end it for sure.
It'll be ready for the Washington-Tampa Bay game to end the day.
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Yeah, I got to get going. I got to get my dinner ready for tonight, boys. Got to fire up the grill.
Yeah. People are starting to talk about it now. They know. So we'll keep this thing rolling as long as you guys want. Some people stick around and like it. It's a OT segment. It's not like we're hurting the product of the show. We're always wanting to get you guys taken care of. Hopefully everybody has a great day today, enjoys it. Let's get to the top for Hoop, for Title, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it!